My name is Margaret Collins. I'm 91 years old, and I live in a quiet retirement community just outside Asheville, North Carolina. From the outside, my life looks peaceful. There's a small porch with 2 rocking chairs, wind chimes that sing when the breeze rolls in from the mountains, and family photos lining the hallway inside. If you saw me at the grocery store, carefully picking out peaches or chatting with the cashier, you'd probably assume I've always had life figured out. I didn't. I've lived through wars on television, recessions that emptied bank accounts, children growing up too fast, and friends disappearing one by one. I've fallen hard, literally and emotionally. I've broken bones. I've broken hearts. And if there's one thing age gives you, it's perspective. Looking back, there are 7 lessons I wish I had truly understood when I was young. I heard them. Everyone does. But I ignored them. And ignoring them cost me more than I realized at the time. Here's what I regret. 1. I thought I had endless time. When I was 22, I lived in Dallas, Texas. I had big hair, big dreams, and absolutely no sense of urgency. My husband Daniel worked long hours at a local insurance office. I kept saying we'd travel someday. We'd go to Italy someday. We'd drive the Pacific Coast Highway someday. We'd take ballroom dancing lessons someday. We even saved travel brochures in a kitchen drawer and circled destinations with a pen, like that meant we were making progress. I honestly believed life would wait patiently for us to get around to living it. I thought there would always be another year, another vacation, another chance to finally say yes. I never once imagined that later could quietly disappear. Someday is a dangerous word. Daniel died at 63 from a sudden heart attack. We never made it to Italy. We never even made it to California. Youth convinces you that time stretches forever. It doesn't. After 60, you realize time doesn't stretch, it contracts. The calendar pages flip faster, the seasons blur together, and suddenly decades feel like moments. If you want to take the trip, take it. If you want to say the thing, say it. Postponing joy is a gamble, and the house always wins. 2. I was too afraid to take risks. I was terrified of flying. Still am, truth be told. That fear kept me grounded, literally. I had opportunities to travel overseas for work in my 30s. I turned them down. I told myself I was being practical. I said stability mattered more than adventure. I convinced myself that staying comfortable was the mature decision. But in reality, I was being scared. I let fear disguise itself as responsibility. Fear doesn't show up loudly. It whispers reasonable excuses. It tells you that tomorrow will be safer easier, better. Fear shrinks your world inch by inch. It doesn't happen dramatically. It happens quietly. You skip one opportunity, then another. Then suddenly you're 70 and you realize you've lived in a very small circle. I regret letting fear make decisions for me. Confidence doesn't arrive before action. It shows up because of action. And the longer you wait, the harder that first brave step feels. 3. I wasted energy trying to change people. When I was younger, I believed if I loved someone enough, argued enough, explained enough, they would eventually become who I needed them to be. I thought persistence could reshape personality. I believed that if I just found the right words, people would finally understand and adjust. I didn't realize I was exhausting myself in the process. That's not how it works. People are individuals. They come with strengths and flaws, history and habits. You can't remodel a human being like you renovate a kitchen. I spent years frustrated because my sister Karen wasn't as organized as I was. Because my son Michael didn't choose the career I thought was safe. Because friends didn't behave the way I would have. I wasted emotional energy trying to control what was never mine to control. The older I get, the more I understand. Peace comes from acceptance, not control. When you let people be who they are, you free yourself too. 4. I didn't go out and live enough. I was responsible. Too responsible. I measured my worth by how dependable I was. I thought saying no to fun meant I was being mature. In my 20s and 30s, I stayed home more than I should have. I worried about money. I worried about appearances. I worried about what people might think. I let hesitation steal experiences that could have shaped me. I overanalyzed every invitation instead of just enjoying the moment. I should have gone out more, taken more road trips, joined more clubs, said yes more often. I once had a chance to join a small singing trio in Boston when we briefly lived there for Daniel's job. I loved to sing. It made me feel alive. But I convinced myself I was too busy. I told myself joy could wait until things were more settled. Life never fully settles. I eventually did sing later in life, but I always wondered what might have happened if I had leaned into joy earlier. Fun is not irresponsible. It's fuel. It keeps your spirit awake. 5. I let pride get in the way of kindness. This one hurts. There were moments I said the wrong thing to people I loved. Sharp words, impatient tones, little comments that felt harmless at the time. I can still hear some of those conversations in my head. I remember walking away feeling justified instead of compassionate. I cared more about winning than understanding. They weren't harmless. One of my closest friends, Linda, and I stopped speaking for almost a year over a political disagreement back in the 1980s. A year wasted over opinions that don't matter anymore. We both missed birthdays, holidays, and ordinary Tuesdays we could have shared. Kindness costs nothing. Pride costs relationships. Now, at 91, I try to practice one simple rule. Be kind to yourself and be kind to others. No exceptions. If I feel anger rising, I let it pass. Arguments feel urgent in the moment, but in the grand timeline of a life, they are small. What lasts is how you made people feel. 6. I confused happiness with joy. When I was young, I chased happiness. Promotions, a bigger house in suburban Atlanta, new furniture, fancy Christmas decorations that made the neighbors look twice. I believed accomplishments would permanently fill whatever felt uncertain inside me. I thought success would quiet my insecurities. I tied my self-worth to what I could achieve. I kept raising the bar, thinking the next milestone would finally be enough. Those things made me happy, but joy is different. Joy is internal. It doesn't depend on the stock market or the size of your living room. It doesn't disappear when the job changes or the house gets smaller. I found joy later in life through faith, through community, through sitting quietly on my porch at sunrise. I found it in conversations, in gratitude, in simple mornings with coffee. External things can make you smile. Inner peace sustains you when everything falls apart. When I fell and broke my femur at 84, my world shrank overnight. I couldn't return home. My sons gently told me it wasn't safe. That was one of the hardest conversations of my life. But even then, joy remained. Not because my circumstances were perfect, but because my spirit was steady. 7. I underestimated growing older. When I was young, I thought old age meant fading, being pushed aside, losing relevance. I pictured silence and limitation. I imagined becoming invisible. I assumed life would feel smaller and less meaningful. I was wrong. Growing older is miraculous. I've outlived both my parents. I've survived major surgery, a serious fall, and 2 broken bones from clumsy accidents. I've watched generations grow in front of me. At 90, if my legs worked a little better, I'd still be out volunteering at the local food pantry. Age is not just decline, it's perspective. It's clarity about what truly matters. Age is a number. If you define yourself by decline, you will decline. If you define yourself by possibility, you'll find new ways to live. I've met 85-year-olds with more energy than some 30-year-olds. I've met 97-year-olds who are mentally sharper than CEOs. Life doesn't diminish automatically. It changes. And if you see change as loss, you suffer. If you see it as transformation, you adapt. If even one of these lessons hit home for you, Don't wait for someday to change something. Start now. Life moves faster than you think, and the best chapters are the ones you choose to live on purpose. If you want more real stories like this video, make sure you like and subscribe.